Hello again, Salukis. Time for another edition of It's 1984 all over again. And as I look back, I have one credit as producer in my career of over 35 years since SIU, but one credit, and that was producing the Ray Dorr Show, the college football coaches show back in 1984.
This block punt for a touchdown, one of the Saluki highlights in a 20-17 loss at Drake yesterday. Details next on the Ray Dorr Show.
The Ray Dorr Show, a look at Saluki football, brought to you by your local Napa dealer. Pepsi-Cola of Marion, Ike Buick of Carbondale, the SIU Employees Credit Union, Jim Hayes Ford in Harrisburg, and Raven Tire of Harrisburg and Marion. Here's the host for the Ray Dorr Show, Mike Reese.
Good evening and welcome to the Ray Dorr Show. I'm Mike Reese, and tonight we review the highlights of Southern's loss to Drake yesterday in Des Moines. The only place that you lost was on the scoreboard. Everything else you blew them out in statistically, but it doesn't count there, does it?
Well, it sure doesn't, Mike. And, you know, we put ourselves in such a great hole right off the bat. We just absolutely gave them 14 points. And the kids really played hard. They really fought back. And, God, I'm just excited. I saw the film today, and I'm excited to see a lot of the players played well. Not just the young players. I mean, a lot of players played well.
SIU and Drake. We'll get to the first half highlights from Drake Stadium in Des Moines after these messages. In a moment, the highlight of the first 4 minutes, Ray, but let's talk about them for a second. They came out all fired up, and then you helped out with the interceptions. What's your analysis of it?
You know, Mike, I really felt like just anything we were going to do out there wasn't going to go very well, and everything we did, we just added fuel to the fire. We just couldn't get the doggone fire, even slowed down a little bit. You know, the interceptions, we fumbled the ball to them. I just didn't know what was going to happen next, and I really didn't get upset with the players or anything. I just wanted to get the tempo of the game changed somehow. We had a very difficult time doing that.
You used Graves at the start, and then you went with King after that, and you had the rotation system set up.
Well, we did. We planned to play Joe again in the ball game, and Pat went into the ball game, and he seemed to move the football team a little bit. I think a little bit in the second half. I personally feel after looking at it, we should have went back to Joe.
First half highlights of the SIU game with Drake. Here they are. A windy day in Des Moines yesterday. The wind was gusting up to 25 miles an hour. Small crowd on hand. We pick up the action with the first of Joe Graves' problems, right?
Joe had a difficult time yesterday, Mike, and here's a ball that he throws out in the right flat here, and it's a tip ball off the tight end's hands, Mike O'Day, and you get tip balls, you get in trouble, and it's one of his 2 interceptions of the day, and this was returned back down to about the 11-yard line. And you give a football team that type of field position, and they're going to hurt you, you know, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's excellent position.
17-10 at the half. You know, Ray, you can see on the play that Anderson's not off the field yet on that winning field. Doesn't he have to be off the field before he can kick?
Definitely. You know, I talked to the officials right as we came off the football field, and I said the player that was injured has to be removed completely from the field. I said, well, if the ball would have been blocked, it would have rolled over there, and we would have had some type of an injury again, right where the injured player was, where Tony and the doctor and the trainer were coming off. So I felt they made a major error in that situation.
All right, you're down by 7, but you've turned the ball over 5 different times. You were playing anybody else but Drake, it'd be worse, huh?
Well, it certainly could have been, and the key thing was that I think it's a real tribute to what our players were doing out there. You know, although we were turning the football over, they were trying, they were staying in the football game, and turnovers have plagued us all year long. And if we could cut back on our turnovers, I think we're right at about 36 right now. And Mike, that's just on.